Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Inept General, and welcome back for some more Total War Warhammer news. In the last of these, in the sort of third stream that Creative Assembly did on the Carcassonne faction of the Bretonnian update. So guys, as many of you may already know, if you've been keeping up with my other videos on the different factions of Bretonnia that we've seen appear on the different streams that Creative Assembly have been doing, you'll know that Carcassonne is led by the Fey Enchantress. Here we see some of her starting units and her starting buffs. Those are Battle Pilgrims, Grail Guardians, and the Blessed Trebuchet, which I have been, I don't know, jovial. I wouldn't say mean to, but I have maybe mocked from time to time slightly. So there is that. We also have her Master of Law of Life, has a powerful ability, Mist of the Lady, and she is the Supreme Enchantress. Now, the Mist of the Lady ability is an ability she has on the battlefield, which is a 58 melee buff. Just to let you guys know what that Mist of the Lady is. Master of Law of Life is an upgrade she can have in her upgrade tree, which gives her minus 25% cooldown for Law of Life magic. You guys will have seen that with other wizard lords, such as Gelt, and I think maybe Kemmler as well, although I'm not 100% sure on him. But Gelt definitely had it for Law of Metal, and it's just that kind of upgrade. We have seen it before. So moving on. She starts here at Castle Carcassonne. Now, you may know this region. You start off at war with the Wood Elves, so there's a lot of danger coming from there, and it's kind of tricky to get the Wood Elves out of the woods. So you might want to fight them for a bit and then eventually make peace with them. You start off with a damsel, but unlike King Lioncoeur, you start off with a damsel of Law of Beasts rather than a damsel of Heavens. And you, of course, start off with the Fey Enchantress, who has Law of Life. Now, I've explained some of the other aspects of the gameplay. It's very similar to Albric de Bordelot and Lioncoeur's Bretonnia faction. There's the chivalry system, there's the peasant system. That's all in place as well. Now, in terms of her stats, here are the starting... I think these are the starting stats for the damsel. In case you're interested in that. Here is the starting army that the Fey Enchantress gets. So, Battle Pilgrims, 2 men-at-arms, no shields, 3 peasant mob, 2 men-at-arms spears, no shields, I'm guessing that's what they are, 2 archers, 1 Blessed Trebuchet, and 1 Grail Guardians. So that's what you kick things off with. Moving on, she does have a legendary building. So each lord or each, I'm not sure if it's tied to the regions or to the lords, these legendary buildings. I guess maybe the regions. I think that's what they kind of intimated at in today's stream. Oh, just a personal note on today's stream, I got a little bit of a mention, so thank you, James, for that. That was very nice of him. But yeah, there is a legendary building, the Tower of the Enchantress, plus 50 chivalry, plus 20 Winds of Magic, Power Reserve, all forces, which is pretty good. Hero recruit rank plus 2 for damsels, all provinces, and reduction in corruption. So a pretty good and powerful building there. Another point I just want to bring up at this point with buildings is that buildings with Bretonnia, once they reach level 3, the sort of minor settlements, they'll automatically get a wall. So you don't necessarily need to build up the wall buildings. You can still build them to reinforce your garrisons, but in terms of a wall going up itself, that will happen automatically when the smaller settlements are fully upgraded, and you can't build walls sort of earlier than that or separately. So that's when they'll happen automatically, but you can further reinforce the garrison and build security buildings if you want to do that. So that's just a good point. And they did it for quite a good reason, because obviously a lot of the Bretonnian regions are down to essentially 2 settlements. So there's a sort of lack of building space, really. So that's one of the reasons they gave for making that change, which I think is fair enough, actually. Here's her starting ability in terms of the details of her character. Plus 10 chivalry, Blessing of the Lady, which is the 20% physical resistance, and she causes fear, which is good. She should be causing fear. She's a crazy floaty lady, but that's great to see. Now, here we have our upgrade tree. Now, I apologize for the blurriness, but from the stream, this was the best image I could get for the quest of Chalice Potions. There are a number of streamers who, since about 4 o'clock today, GMT time, have been streaming, so you guys probably have seen this better than I. But I'm guessing that's sort of 6% hit points, hero recruit rank plus 2 for damsels, all provinces, I'm guessing is what that says. And the ability Chalice of Potions, which is magical damage, large area of effect, and weak against single targets. So it's essentially a bombardment spell that you get with the Chalice of Potions, which I suppose is that's okay. That's an interesting thing to give her. It's good to get her having a few more offensive spells. Now, a couple of things I'm disappointed with this upgrade tree of the lady. One, she only has one Law of Magic, which may be accurate to the later editions of Warhammer. But I liked it back in 6th when she could use them all. Obviously, they weren't going to give them all of them. I thought at the minimum we'd get a kind of hybrid life, Law of Heavens situation. But just Law of Life, I guess we'll have to live with that. And the bonuses she has of physical resistance and a couple of the blessings of the lady and other bonuses kind of puts her a little bit above the kind of Gelt Kemmler class of magic casters, but not quite sort of towering above any of the other legendary lords, which they could have done. Now, another little point of disappointment for me is she does have the ability Power Familiar. We'll go through the rest of this top row. You have Silver on her mount, her Unicorn mount, which she can get at rank 7. The Lore Master of Life, which I mentioned to you guys earlier, which is minus 25% cooldown for life spells. And the Power Familiar, which is Winds of Magic Reserve plus 15. But they've made it a sort of little staff, and I'm a little bit disappointed in this, because in the tabletop game, her Power Familiar is a frog, which used to be a wizard who upset her once. She turned him into a frog, and she carries him around in her pocket. So I'm a little bit disappointed they just made it a little buff, and there's no sign of the frog being visible in battle, which is a bit of a shame. But there you go. Can't get everything, but it would have been great to see the frog at some point, the frog wizard at some point in the game. But a buff to magic, which is kind of goes along with what the frog did for her on the tabletop. Girdle of Gold, 15% ward save. So she might in fact be, maybe, well, as Sarthoriel isn't a playable magician, maybe she, I suppose Archaon, I'm not going to count Archaon just for the sake of this argument. She's probably the hardiest magic user, aside from Archaon, the Ever-Chosen, who's actually, if you check out my Update 6 patch notes video, I mentioned him there, but he's gotten a bit of a buff all round in the Total War Warhammer game when this update hits with Bretonnia. And you guys know the Law of Life, you'd have seen that before. In terms of the middle stuff, the stuff that was unique to her, I think Peasant Duty, maybe Luon Leoncoeur had as well, but I just wanted to double check. I wasn't 100% sure on that one. But that's at its best, 12% melee ammo and 12%, not melee ammo, infantry ammo, and 12% missile infantry damage. Moving on, one of the unique ones for her is Worshippers of the Grail, I think, which is bonuses to Battle Pilgrims and Grail Reliquary. So that's a bonus for her, and that's really good. They make them a bit more hardy in the battle, which is unique to her. Maybe, yeah, I think that's unique to her. Maybe the Prophetesses might have that as well once we get them. Virtue of Empathy, Aura Size, I think we've seen that before as well. Blessed Water, I don't believe we've seen this one, which is a charge bonus for Grail Pilgrims and Grail Reliquary. And Guardians of the Lady, another unique trait to her, 20% for Grail Vow units. So I'm guessing that's Grail Knights and Grail Guardians. I think, yes. I'm guessing that's what, maybe Grail Pilgrims as well, I'm not 100% sure on that. And Engines of War is just an artillery one, but we've seen that before. And her last one in that chain, Secrets of the Grail, Magic Resistance, 20% for Battle Pilgrims and Grail Reliquary unit. And that about sums it up, really. We've seen all the other systems that are in place for Carcassonne in terms of very similar to Bretonnia and to Bordelot. So we've seen kind of all it has to offer. You guys may have seen that a number of other YouTubers have videos up today. They got early access. Unfortunately, I haven't quite made the radar for early access as of yet. But yeah, so do look out for those to get a better idea. But thanks very much for tuning into this if you have been checking those out. But I was just trying to take some stuff off the stream, and the OCD in me wouldn't let me skip this one. So I decided to do the final faction stream update as well, despite the fact that this information is probably easily accessible elsewhere. Hope you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. Do drop a subscription to keep up to date with Total War Warhammer news, Total War Warhammer lore, and some gameplay as well, of course, from me, the Adept General. Thanks very much for joining me, guys, and have a great day.